Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View.
And good Sunday morning to you. Welcome in to Capitol View. I'm Jay Burr. Well, he's one of three Republicans vying for the nomination for the U.S. Representative seat here in District 2. He is Conrad Reynolds. He joins us now. Boss, how you doing? I got to say, that is quite the elaborate setup that you've got there.
Well, thank you very much. This is my headquarters here, and this is where we're going to win this election.
All right.
It's time to change leadership in the 2nd District, Jay.
There you go. Let's just kind of jump right into things here. I know one of the big things that you're concerned about was the January 6th commission, also election integrity. I know that's kind of been a big thing, no matter who's running really nowadays. But kind of your thoughts on that, and what do you want to do when it does come to election security?
Well, election security, first thing we need to do is get to the bottom of what happened in 2020. And I don't think enough of the Republicans in Congress, particularly the rhinos, really have much of an interest or an appetite to do that. And I think that has to be done before we move forward. That's number one. Number two, the January 6th commission, we all know, is a witch hunt. Only 35 Republicans voted for that. French Hill was one of them. And I think they just simply turned their back on the people of Arkansas. You know, I haven't met one person, Jay, since I've been running, who believes that the January 6th commission was a good thing. Now, I know it wasn't the actual commission, it turned into a committee, but it's a witch hunt. All they're trying to do is go after President Trump and all of the people of his administration. We've got to end that. And that is, for me, anybody who voted for that just turned their back on the people of Arkansas.
I mean, but what do you make of that situation, though? I mean, we've seen the videos. We saw we've heard some of the stories here. But, I mean, what do you make of that situation in its totality when it does come to, in essence, and I'm kind of quoting Joe Biden here, kind of a summary here, as, you know, he lost. And he was bent out of shape that he lost. And this kind of seemingly was the result of that. I mean, kind of what do you make of that situation, though?
You mean the January 6th
yes,
rally and all that? First off, I heard President Trump's speech. There was nothing in there that incited a riot. I think there were people who were there for the purpose of making trouble. I think that is clear. And I want to get to the bottom of that. That's what I want to get to the bottom of. And I think that we need people in Congress who are willing to do that. And I am. The criminal activity that occurred, those people need to be prosecuted. But unlawful activity should never be tolerated in our country. We should not be breaking the laws, and I'm all for that. But you know what? I think there's more to the story here. I mean, I was a criminal investigator as far as counter-espionage investigations in the military, and I can tell you there's more to it. So I want to find out what it is.
And it kind of goes right into one of the next big things that I know you're kind of for here is kind of that accountability when it does come to government. Limited government, also accountability for government. Kind of what are some of those things that you want to see put in place when it comes to those things?
For accountability in government?
Yes, sir.
Well, first off, let's start with the people that, with the Russia collusion. Let's start with Comey. Let's start with McCabe. Let's start with Peter Strzok. Those people ruined the FBI. And none of them have been held accountable yet. And I hope that they will be. But when I get there, that's one of the things I'm going to look at. You know, it's across the whole federal system, whether it's the FBI, the DOJ, everybody, at least that I've talked to, including myself, I'm extremely disappointed in our federal government and our agencies. The FISA court, I used to trust. I mean, I was involved in investigations that used the FISA court. But now they abused it. They used it to go against a U.S. citizen. Now we know that it was all a lie. So the question is, who's going to pay the price for that? If I had done that as an investigator and applied for a FISA, which I've done in my career, I would be in jail today. So I'm going to go after that with a vengeance, because if we don't fix it, if we don't fix these federal institutions, then nobody's going to trust the government. And we've got to restore the faith in our federal government.
Balanced budget's something it always seems to seemingly get brought up here. What do you want to do to see more of that balance? And I guess really what the question becomes is, what do you cut up there in Washington in order to balance the budget?
You say balance the budget? Mm-hmm. First off, you got to get people who are committed to doing it. That's number one. And that's why I will be one of 40 Freedom Caucus. The Freedom Caucus is the one thing that's really trying to do the right thing and balance the budget. I'm going to try to do that when I'm there. I'm going to do that. Well, let's put it this way. Let's go back a second. Let's talk about stocks. Let's talk about congressmen and their ability to buy stocks. Is that right? Should we allow that? Individual stocks? Nancy Pelosi? Look at how much impact that they've had in enriching themselves. They've been able to pass laws on stocks to be able to enrich themselves, and I think that's wrong. I think that we should eliminate that ability for congressmen or anybody in their family to be able to do that.
And that does seem to be a growing sentiment here just within recent weeks, is that, you know, a lot of folks want to limit that as much as you possibly can. I mean, obviously folks can make a living, but when you sort of influence a lot of the decisions, I know a lot of Republicans have gotten into when it comes to infrastructure trading, things of that nature. I know there have been reports out there that a lot of Democrats are getting into some technology stocks. So it is kind of a very gray area. You kind of elaborated on that, but go and dive a little deeper. I mean, just would you like to see an all-out ban?
Let me say something about the budget. When I ran against French Hill in 2014, in 2014, he said that the greatest threat against America was our debt, right? We were 17 trillion in debt. He said he was going to take his financial acumen and his business experience and fix that, right? Well, here we are 7.5 years later, and what's changed? Well, now we're almost 30 trillion in debt. And he's voted, I think, except for 2 times, every time to raise the debt ceiling. And it's the same excuse, Jay. And basically it is, you know, we got to pay our debts. We can't default on our debts. The question is when are we going to start cutting spending? You know, we are driving our kids and our grandkids into perpetual servitude to pay off everything that we're spending now. And we've got to change it. We've got to have people who've got the guts to do it. You got to have people who've got the backbone to do it. I do. And so when I go there, I may not be real popular, but you know what? Everything that's popular, you know, may not be always right. You got to do the right thing.
And I guess finally here, what are some of those things that you would look at cutting when it does come to spending here at the federal level?
Well, let's talk about the first thing, the war. The wars that we've been getting into have cost us trillions. I said in 2011, we should have pulled out of Afghanistan, that once we killed Osama bin Laden, then we should have pulled out then. And I told Senator Bozeman back in 2011, we would save $50 billion a year if we did that. But you know what? There's too many interests to keep us in war, and so that it's a perpetual money machine for big business, big industry. And I want to change that. And when I go there, that's one of the things I'm looking at.
Well, that is an introduction here to Conrad Reynolds. He is one of the candidates for the nomination of the Republican nomination. It's a mouthful always there, here in District 2.
Yeah, and by the way, Jay, before you go, I'm the only one endorsed by General Michael Flynn, and no one reported that, but I want people to know that General Flynn, you ought to go to my website at electconrad.com, and you're going to see what General Flynn had to say about me and what I'm going to do for you when I go to Congress. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm going to do it. I've done it all my life.
There you have it. Check him out there. Conrad Reynolds, boss, we appreciate the time, and hopefully we can do it again.
Thanks, sir. Bye
You
now.
betcha. All right, when we come back, be pro, be proud with big-time announcements for the trades industry. We talk with State Chamber President Randy Zook. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back into Capitol View. Well, the trade industry is a big-time deal, and it's a big-time deal here in Arkansas. And here to kind of help us advance the trade industry, State Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Randy Zook in the finest offices there in Northwest Arkansas. Boss, how you doing?
Doing great, Jay. Good to be with you.
Always a pleasure to have you on here. Let's kind of get to it here. The trade industry, I know a lot of times we're talking about, you know, workforce shortages and things like that. The trade industry, no exception to that. But you guys have kind of really stepped up your game here in Arkansas. I know it all started with that Be Pro, Be Proud, kind of highlighting the trades here. But big announcement this past week when it comes to that initiative.
No kidding, a really big announcement. We've been given the resources to put together and put on the road a second workshop due to the wait list and the backlog of schools that want us to come visit with them and show their students the range of opportunities available in Arkansas's economy. It's a big problem, a big challenge, but with this second vehicle, we're going to be able to step up our game and meet the backlog challenge that's a high-class problem to have.
Now, this truck is, I mean, without just mincing words here, it's really cool to go in there and kind of demo different industries. Our viewers right here are kind of seeing this thing kind of put through the paces here. But, how much of a reaction have you guys noticed to that truck, and how much has it actually, changed attitudes about trades?
Well, let me throw a couple of numbers that might illustrate that. We've had about 117,000 student visits on the truck since we started. And of that 117,000, 24,000 roughly students have signed up for more information, which indicates interest in at least some experience they had in the workshop. We also are seeing and hearing about increased interest in training programs in the two-year community colleges and the technical schools across the state. Some teachers have told us, now this is anecdotal, but a number of teachers have told us that at-risk students who are about to drop out have found renewed interest in school because they see the connection between what they're studying and an eventual opportunity in a career that's interesting to them, and those are high-class, high-impact results, and we think that it's well worth all of the effort and the investment that our partners have put into it, and we're just excited to see it starting to spread across the rest of the country. We've got now 2 other states, Georgia and South Carolina, have put their own workshops together, and 3 or maybe 4 other states are soon to follow. So we'll have news about those as they unfold, but they're going to happen.
And I guess, too, what does it say to the industry in and of itself is to not only have that demand here in Arkansas, but now, as you mentioned, there's several other states jumping on board with this. We talk about these workforce shortages and issues that are with that, but there's always a need for someone to, fix my car, fix your air conditioner. Their house has got to be built. Roads got to be built, especially now we're talking infrastructure here on a national level. So, the demand is there.
No question about that. If we've learned anything during the pandemic, we have learned that people who do things in terms of moving things, fixing things, operating things, making things, serving us in all kinds of different ways, every one of these fields has hundreds of thousands of opportunities for young people, especially as a lot of the working age population reaches retirement age. Some of us have even worked past retirement age, but it's, this is a big challenge as people age out of the workplace, and we've got to replace them and more if we're going to continue to grow our economy. And this program helps kids get at least a glimpse at the nature of the work and the value of the work, the earnings potential, the demand, the openings that are real and in their communities, available close at hand. So all these things are just part of that conversation that leads to a kid pursuing an opportunity, a young person realizing, gosh, I don't have the resources to go to college, but I don't have to indebt myself to get into a high-paying, way above average earnings opportunity. And with hard work and application, I can build a real career around this. So it's the start of the conversation that we trigger with this program.
And two, kind of what are you seeing from the gals out there? Obviously here in Arkansas, we see our first linewoman, if you will, working also. But welding, I know is an industry that's attracting more women to the field. So, what has been the response from the girls on the scene out here when it comes to Be Pro, Be Proud?
Equally exciting. In fact, there's no difference because the nature of most of these jobs and these fields has changed so dramatically over the last 20, 30, 40 years with the implementation of new technologies that really takes all the brute strength that used to be necessary in some jobs. It takes it out of it. It's more now computer-controlled equipment, highly sophisticated equipment that takes all the drudgery or most of it out of a lot of these jobs and careers, and it makes it a lot more interesting. So equal opportunity for young women as well as young men all across the state.
Oh man, if it was only around back when maybe I was trying to pick a career, you might see me out here welding and something like that, making a pretty solid living. Randy Zook with the State Chamber of Commerce. Boss, we always appreciate the insights. We certainly do appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate it.
You betcha. And when we come back, it is going down in D.C. We have a big shakeup in the Supreme Court. Also, some signs that the economy might be bouncing back. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. President Joe Biden reaffirmed his pledge to nominate the first black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court, calling it long overdue. The president praised retiring Justice Stephen Breyer as he made his official announcement at the White House. Our Washington correspondent Jesse Tenor with more.
This is a complicated country.
Justice Stephen Breyer reflected on everything he's witnessed during his nearly 3 decades on the U.S. Supreme Court bench.
People have come to accept this Constitution, and they've come to accept the importance of a rule of law.
During his official retirement announcement Thursday, Breyer directed his remarks to younger generations, saying although the country is divided, the High Court helps unite it.
It's a kind of miracle. When you sit there and see all those people in front of you, people that are so different in what they think, and yet they've decided to help solve their major differences under law.
As one of the liberal justices on the bench, Breyer wrote landmark opinions from reproductive rights to health care to voting rights.
He's a model public servant in a time of great division in this country.
In the 90s, President Biden presided over Breyer's Supreme Court confirmation hearings when he was chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Did we ever think that he would have served decades on the court and I'd be president of the United States when the day he came in to retire?
And now the president is tasked with nominating his successor, something he plans to do by the end of February.
I have made no choice at this point.
Except one.
That person will be the first black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court. It's long overdue in my view.
A high school computer science class is decoding who can be a programmer after winning a Female Diversity Award from the College Board. James Pruitt teaches AP Computer Science principles at Sylvan Hills High School. Stand up. Go Bears. He's one of just 12 in the state awarded for the honor for having his class made up of at least 50% women. He says it thanks to his active recruitment and fostering a love of coding at an early age. After 5 years, he's seen dozens of students' interest in programming turn into possible careers.
They make a ball bounce across the screen. They make something blow up. There's all kinds of things that can occur. The interest blows up and there they go.
And according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, women only hold about 24% of computer programming jobs, a number both the Pruitt and the College Board are hoping to change. So shout out to my guys on the Hill. The U.S. economy grew last year at the fastest pace since the mid-1980s, according to the Department of Commerce. Our Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson takes a look at if this will improve inflation.
The White House is celebrating another sign of a rebounding economy.
There's a lot of good news in the economy right now.
U.S. gross domestic product, a measure of economic activity, grew last year at the fastest pace since 1984. Bharat Ramamurthy with the National Economic Council says this proves President Biden's economic agenda is working.
More jobs, higher wages, fast economic growth.
But Jeff Lee with the Truman National Security Project says not all Americans are feeling the economic growth.
Black homeownership is the lowest it's been since the 1960s. And Treasury Secretary Yellen just said last week, according to their data, that white families have 8 times the average wealth of Black families.
And Lee says many Americans are still being squeezed by inflation. The White House says much of that is connected to supply chain disruptions.
So the more we can address our supply chain and smooth things out, the more you'll see progress on the inflation side.
Lee is calling on lawmakers to extend the child tax credit to help people, especially women, get back into the workforce.
75% of women are the caregivers in their family. They're still having harder times entering the market.
Now, Democrats are considering a smaller Build Back Better bill that would include economic help for families. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
And we're back to wrap it up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
One final note here, the Tractor Supply Store is a well-known rural lifestyle retailer, and it's expanding its footprint here in Arkansas. The company announced on Wednesday it would be investing $100 million into a 900,000 square foot distribution facility out there in Maumelle, creating about 450 jobs, with the average salary still not yet known. Secretary of Commerce Mike Preston said they will have to be competitive. Arkansas's geography makes them a good candidate for a facility like this, and Preston added that the governor and the legislature have created quite the business environment here in Arkansas.
That's why you see a lot of distribution facilities giving us a look, and, whether it be central or even on the eastern side of our state or on the western side. Our proximity to the rest of the country, I think within a day, we're in a day's drive of 2/3 of the entire U.S. population, so it's a natural fit.
Construction set to begin on that facility here in the next few months. The goal is to have it completed by the end of 2023. So there we go. No more papers, no more show. We're going to be back at it again next week with an all-new Capitol View. I want to thank my guests, Randy Zook and Conrad Reynolds. Enjoy the rest of your hopeful, laid-back weekend.